A creeping normality sets in. Mortgage rates drop to 30-year lows, and Kentucky joins the Midwest. That and more today on the Real Estate World Podcast. What's happening, folks? I am fired up today. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm really glad you're joining us live again on Facebook, I think. I never really do know if the live feed is actually going to work on Facebook. I take it on blind faith that it's working. I know that Jeremy, our erstwhile loyal as long as his paycheck is direct deposited in his bank account, which I believe it was today. So I know I've been able to, I'm able to procure and capture his loyalty for another 2 weeks. Thankfully, I would hope that, well, they say loyalty is skin deep. I hope it's deeper than that. But anyway, Jeremy hopefully will be joining us later today with the benefit of a proper microphone. I know he likes to get on with that tinny face or Apple dongle thing. I'm holding it up right now. That tinny sounding cheap ass white Apple microphone. Even though I did actually spend $60 and get him a ATR 2100, the Audio Technica ATR 2100, which is really one of the best value for your dollar you can get in the AV business, in my opinion. It's just super durable. It's what I speak into most days. And I threw down for the extra $60, and I just hope Jeremy could find it in his heart to join us with some quality sound for once. I know that our listener deserves it. Our listener could be me. I dirty little secret. People say, Scott, do you think anybody really cares what you think? And, I said, no, I'm not disillusioned. I haven't fell for my own nonsense and believe that anybody cares what I have to say. I don't believe it, but I do. But I like to listen to me. In fact, one of my favorite pastimes, and this is the narcissist, the egomaniac in me, but I do listen to most of these episodes while running or in my car driving home. And the intent isn't to stoke my own ego. It's actually to listen to the show and figure out how I can be better. And I know that, long-term listeners of the show will probably attest to the fact that it haven't gotten any better. And maybe I should rethink my strategy, maybe take some voice lessons, maybe have someone actually script out the show and work on maybe providing some useful content. No, I'm just kidding. I really do believe the content we provide is useful. And I think the service we provide to humanity is significant. I know for a lot of people, the things we say on the show are scary because we're willing to swim out past the break wall and talk about things that I know most realtors or business owners are afraid to say because the mob, the troll mob, will shout them down. And, I've been the target of trolls for years, and it started really, and okay, now we're going to stoke the fire here. We're going to throw another log on. And this is where Scott starts his storytelling. So everyone just lean back, and, I know most of you are at home anyhow, so get your lazy boy out and lean back a few more degrees on that thing and sit back, and I'm going to tell you a little tale. But as many people know, I have had my face plastered on bus benches, or some people say courtesy benches, throughout the city of Minneapolis, and I think for a short time even in the sister city of St. Paul. And I have been the target of many bitter people. This predates the internet trolls. I go back to a day when trolls needed to actually get out of their parents' basement, get off the sofa of their ex-girlfriend's apartment. That person, right? They break up and they just kind of hang out for about 3 months, or they need to get out of the car that they're sleeping in. The trolls, right? Their behaviors. And in fact, we have successfully mapped the troll genome, and we do intend to have an actual troll on the show here in the very the very near future. And I know you're thinking that's Dan Earhart and he's going to come back on. No, it's not Pat Crosby from Sisu. It's an actual troll. I was going to have the troll on a while back, and I got trolled by the troll. They said they were going to be here, and like every good troll didn't show up. It was like that. It was either not show up for the show, the job interview, or their mom's birthday. And I think this guy hit for the cycle and didn't show up for any of it. But anyway, back in the day, these trolls, they had to actually get out of bed. They had to get out from whatever rock they were hiding under, and they'd have to go, and if they wanted to insult someone, they'd have to go find one of my bus benches and they'd have to tag it. And, or write, this guy's a D-bag, or, I eat bags of, won't say the word, but it rhymes with sticks. And, really kind of hurt my feelings at first. I thought, oh man, this is personal. And then I realized, the bitterness and angst wasn't really directed at me. It was actually directed at themselves. When you see someone writing derogatory statements, you can usually replace the name that they're using with their own name, and that gives you a look into their own soul. So for many years, my bus benches have been the target of trolls who want to inflict pain on humanity in the interest of hoping their own pain will subside. So I don't fear the trolls. And in fact, I've, as many people know who have been long-term listeners of the show, I bait the trolls. And in fact, I know most trolls, they do want to be better people. So anyway, so the show and a lot of my Facebook videos have been targeted by trolls online almost for as long as I've been targeted by trolls offline. There was an infamous video I did last fall, actually in August, right before the brain tumor discovery. We were at Tom Ferry's Success Summit, and I did a selfie video on a Facebook Live video, and I may or may not have let certain aspects of my body grow. Certain parts of my face had hairs that were growing beyond, which was generally considered to be hygienic. And I took that video and I boosted it throughout the country. And I just had I was the target of vicious troll attacks, internet troll attacks. It was something to behold. And I enjoyed every minute of it. So anyway, so closed circuit to all trolls out there. This is your place. Bring it on. Let's dance. And what is that? What was the movie? I had the book, The Necromantica. Geez, I wish Jeremy was on right now. It was Evil Dead. Anyway, so that being said, wow, that was a detour I wasn't expecting. So anyway, so creeping normality. We're going to talk about what I mean by that. A creeping normality sets in, and that is that kind of plays off of what we're going through right now. I know that people are starting to get frustrated, not just here locally, but throughout the country. And the reason they're getting frustrated is they believe that they're, I love the use of pronouns, they, he, she, we, but people are frustrated largely due to the fact that they feel that there's no guidance as to when this is all going to end. So they feel as if some of the restrictions put on them are maybe a little draconian, maybe not well thought out. Maybe in some cases, some folks feel they're insulting. And what you need to understand, a lot of people right now are frustrated and scared. Many of these people, oh no, I touched my nose, COVID. Anyway, so many people are afraid that they're going to lose their business. They're going to lose their livelihood. They've already lost their jobs. Yes, I know there's unemployment available, but and they're looking for a place to have their voice heard. And I think the governor of Michigan, Whitmore, I believe her name is getting a lot of attention for one of the more draconian stay-at-home orders in the country. And it goes beyond from what I understand, the normal social distancing type of guidelines. She has basically made it illegal. And again, I don't know what the extent of the governor's emergency powers are in certain states. I believe many of these orders that have been signed are probably going to be challenged for their constitutionality. But the governor of Michigan has basically made it illegal to gather in any number, including in your own home. From what I read and have heard, that she has made it against the law to even go fishing. And many people don't feel that that is a reasonable place to go, or a reasonable level of restriction based on the pandemic that we're going through right now. So, and I'm trying to oversimplify. I get that. And if some of the details of what I'm saying aren't completely accurate, please, by all means, post in the comments. Our goal here is to get it factually correct. Even though, yes, I will overlay facts with my opinions, which I will never stop doing. So I apologize in advance if that hurts your feelings. But so anyway, the governor of Michigan, I believe her name's Christy Whitmore. Again, if I'm wrong there, I apologize. I don't know that that's important, but she is getting a good deal of backlash. The governor of Minnesota has also been getting a little resistance in the last 48 hours. Many people are, again, people are scared. I don't know that we need to justify debate. I don't think we need to justify the fact that people may have differing opinions. I really don't. I think, people have a right to have a difference of opinion. And what I really don't like is when people will try to shut you up by saying, well, you're not following the science. Well, look, that to me is kind of a coward's way out when you say that, because as we've seen over and over again over the past few weeks, the past 2 months, the past 3 or 4 months, the story changes often. What we think are facts aren't actually facts. All right. It was a fact back in January, reported by many media outlets, and we can play the tape if you want. I don't think we need to, but it's there. You can't deny it. But many of the experts who are telling us now to quarantine, to shelter at home, were telling us there's nothing to worry about. That was a fact. They were telling us there's nothing to worry about. So if it's a fact, are facts scientific? Is science factual? So you can, is there a direct relationship between, if it's factual, is it scientific? Is it a fact that water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit? It's a scientific fact, right? And, I'm usually at about 211. So it doesn't usually take me much to to flip into the boiling over state. But so if you look back, it was many people reported that the travel bans were draconian. Some people even said they were xenophobic, and now we're finding out that that it's possible, and maybe even likely, that the whole coronavirus didn't necessarily start in the the wet markets. It actually came from viral experiments, or the Wuhan Institute of Virology, whatever. I don't even know what it's called off the top of my head. I do know what it is. I just can't think of the name right now, and I don't want to get it wrong. But there appears to be growing evidence that there were scientists working on coming up with ways to excuse me, but come up with solutions to different viruses, right? Different outbreaks, different illnesses and stuff, and that maybe this virus jumped from a bat or some other creature into the scientists, and then that person went out in public, and then the virus spread, and here we are. So, so the idea that that you can simply say, listen to the science and use that as a tactic to shut people up, I don't think that you're being intellectually honest. I think that's a lazy route. Like, I'm a fan of science, don't get me wrong, but we have to understand that the science changes. There was a time when people thought that the sun, the scientists of the time thought that the sun was pulled across the sky by a team of horses, by a guy named Apollo, I believe. All right. That was the science. There was a time when people thought this Columbus character was going to sail off the edge of the earth when he was looking for the new world. They thought he was a lunatic. So, and again, those are extreme examples, but, things are evolving here. And I think that it's really important that we respectfully, if we're going to have debate, that we respectfully engage others and stay curious, and keep asking questions. It's okay to ask questions about this. It's okay to ask questions like, how am I going to survive this? How is my business going to survive this? How am I ever, going to get back to work? What happens if I run out of money, and where do I go? What happens if I can't pay my rent? What happens if, I get sick and need to go to the hospital? Can anybody come see me? What happens if my children get sick? I mean, I'm afraid more of my kids getting sick, or my kids, something happened to them is not even COVID-19 related, and having to go to the hospital or the doctor's office, and I'm not allowed in with them, so, and that could be them riding their bike up and down the street, which I let them do freely right now. So I think that, again, I think it's really lazy, and I think it's really disrespectful for someone to just simply say, hey, you're not following the science, and your opinion therefore is, it's BS. So that's the lecture today. All right. I am here on the pedestal, the soapbox and I am looking down my nose on everyone, lecturing you on how to be polite. No, I mean, it's not meant to be a lecture. It's just, give people some respect and keep asking questions. I can tell you, just because it's on the news, just because it's on TV, just because it's on the internet, doesn't necessarily mean that it's 100% factual. Okay. Believe it or not, folks, the people on TV have gotten it wrong more than once, and everything on the internet you read isn't necessarily true. And no, those helicopters above my office are not black; they are actually fuchsia. So no, I'm really not a black helicopter person. It says every black helicopter person, right? So anyway, so that's all I'm going to say on that. But it ties in this idea of creeping normality, and what people are doing is this concept of creeping normality is also known as landscape amnesia. People are afraid that we started out here in Minnesota with a 2-week ask. the governor had to ask that we would just encourage everyone who I think the people did a really good job here in Minnesota with the original 2-week ask, where they said, you know what, we are going to self-quarantine. We are going to social distance. We are going to respect everyone's right for space. We are going to do our part to make sure that we don't spread this virus and slow the growth of this, right? That was a very reasonable place to be. And I think that most people were absolutely happy to do it. In fact, and even in having to face the reality that their business might have been compelled to close, they were willing to make the sacrifice, even if it meant that they may not have the ability to earn income. Now, during this time, we've had things called the Paycheck Protection Program or plan, the PPP, and which has helped a lot of businesses. But guess what? That's out of money now. $350 billion gone. And I would advise anyone who is in dire straits right now to phone your congressman or woman, congressperson, and let them know that you need that program. You need the new $250 billion to replenish that program, because it's really important that the businesses that are here now can reopen. I mean, guys, yeah, am I pro-business? You bet I am. Why? Like I said repeatedly, because these people employ people. All right. Businesses allow us to have the goods and services that we enjoy. They employ people. Those people can, presumably they're getting paid. They can go enjoy the goods and services that we enjoy. And we all can have this thing called the economy operating so that people can continue to live, eat, have homes. If being for business, that's what I'm really for. All right. So we need you business people to survive this, especially the ones who have been compelled to close. We know that you're making a huge sacrifice, and I, for one, appreciate it. Just like I appreciate the frontline healthcare workers. And that's another place where we're seeing a lot of problems, because a lot of the hospitals aren't busy at all right now. All right. We don't talk about this very often, and you don't hear about it very much, but we have our major population centers are probably overcrowded, but rural Minnesota or rural America is seeing almost, well, I shouldn't say almost no activity, but a far less patient load than they normally see. Why? Because there are no longer any people coming in to get the knee surgeries, right? The elective type procedures. So it's having an impact. And I think, again, you can troll me and tell me, oh, it doesn't matter, it's for the greater good. I get that, but it doesn't mean that it's not a problem. It doesn't mean that a lot of these hospitals, especially the small town hospitals, which a lot of them have already gone bankrupt and closed, but this is having an impact on them, and we need to acknowledge that, and we need to think about what is going to happen long term there. Yeah, one more thing to worry about, right? You said don't be stressed out. Well, I'm not saying you need to be worried about it, but I think we need to. I think it's okay to talk about it. And again, if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. Leave the room. But let the people who do want to talk about it and come up with solutions. What am I going to do about it? I don't know. I'm a real estate guy. Okay. Well, guess what? We got problems in real estate. Not in residential real estate yet. Okay. And that's the thing. So I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I want to finish up this idea of creeping normality. Okay. Or landscape amnesia. What that is it's a process. I'm going to read this off Wikipedia so I don't get it wrong. Creeping normality, also called landscape amnesia, is a process by which a major change can be accepted as normal and acceptable if it happens slowly through small, often unnoticeable increments of change. The change could otherwise be regarded as objectionable if it took place in a single step or short period. And the reason I bring up this is that there was a book, actually, they cite Jared Diamond first coined the phrase creeping normality in his 2005 book, Collapse, How Societies Choose to Fail or Succeed. So interesting. He said that while attempting to explain why in the course of long-term environmental degradation, Easter Island natives would seemingly irrationally chop down the last tree. So interesting. This is really interesting. It may be one that I want to read. And there are people who feel like right now what we're going through is a creeping normality where they believe that their liberties and individual rights are going to be usurped by a slow, unnoticeable increments of change. I don't think anything's slow or unnoticeable right now, so I don't know that we have anything to worry about that. There's also the concept of the Overton window, and this is an interesting one too. And again, I'm not judging. I'm not saying this is happening right now, but these are interesting concepts that I find fascinating. The Overton window, what that is, and I'll just read it, the Mackinac.org. I saw a description of it. The Overton window is a model for understanding how ideas in society change over time and influence politics. The core concept is that politicians are limited in what policy ideas they can support. They generally only pursue policies that are widely accepted throughout society as legitimate policy options. These policies lie inside the Overton window. They go on to give an example of prohibition, and oh no, don't get me going on that, because then I'm going to make my obligatory snarky essential alcohol as an essential service reference today, which there I go. I slipped it in. My apologies, but yeah, alcohol. You can get a roadie now in Minnesota, and again, I'm not anti-alcohol. I do believe that alcohol causes a lot of problems, and I was the king of the drunks for many years, and I led the charge, and even today, if you're willing to deal with the consequences, you want to get me drinking again, we can go down that road, but you're responsible. So anyway, so the idea behind prohibition obviously was that at the time, we had the society where the I guess, I don't know if the Puritans or the certain groups thought alcohol was the great evil, and the would lead to the downfall of our society. And then we know what happened after that. And now, if someone were to bring up the idea of prohibition, everyone would just laugh them out of the room, right? So anyway, so check out these ideas. I think they're interesting, and if you think they apply to what we're seeing now, great. If you don't, that's great too. My idea, my role, my goal is not to tell you what to think or how to think. My goal is to simply get you to think and be critical, and also be curious. It is one of the great tragedies of adulthood is that we cease at some point to be curious. We quit challenging the powers that be. We stop looking for, we stop fact checking. We stop looking for truth, and we just many times just accept the reality in which we exist and don't ever challenge it. And I would love it if people ask more questions and challenge the status quo a little bit more, because I believe that truly is how we move forward, and that's how we evolve as a society. So that being said, mortgage rates have dropped to 30-year lows. That's exciting. What does it mean? Well, it means that things are bad. Usually rates don't drop when things are really good. All right. So, and again, not to freak anyone out, let's see, the average contract interest rates for 30-year fixed mortgages with conforming loan balances of $510,400 or less dropped to 3.45%. from 3.49%, spurring a rush to refinance. So, there's that says of April 15th. So that's a good thing. I mean, for you, if you are looking to refi and you have a higher rate, the problem is when rates go down, that's usually a sign of economic weakness. When gas prices drop like they do, barring a massive discovery of easily accessible fuel, which you could argue that shale oil is becoming more easy to access, but it's still very expensive relative to, say, what Saudi Arabia has to pay to extract the oil. But oil prices being at $22 a barrel right now is it's not a sign of economic strength. It's good if you need to fill your gas up or your gas tank up, but how many people are actually driving around right now? So, again, we're trying to keep it positive here. So we will keep a positive spin on things. Okay. So the Mortgage Bankers Association surveys, this is from Inman News, by the way. MBA survey also showed the sharp decline in non-seasonally adjusted purchase applications in the coronavirus's pandemic wake in Washington, California, New York, fell by about 50% across the board. That's not a surprise, right? And what we're seeing here in Minnesota, and again, everyone sees things differently, but looking at our local board of realtors statistics, showings are clearly way down. People are doing more virtual showings or relying more on the virtual tours online. However, and we definitely are seeing a huge decrease in the amount of listing activities as, again, people are sheltering in place. They are staying home and really don't want other people in their house right now. I get it. But we're seeing a reduction in buyer demand, which is offsetting the reduction in listings. But we're still seeing that we're kind of in equilibrium. The two numbers are kind of tracking, so that we're not seeing a massive change in values at all. I mean, there may be a little bit of change on the fringe, but it's really nominal. So I know a lot of people, again, I'm going to say it again. This is not 2008. Okay. This is not 2008. The underlying fundamentals back in 2004, 5, 6, 7, leading up to the financial crisis were way different than they are today. So make sure that you understand that. I know there's a lot of people thinking, I'm going to make a lot of money with residential real estate. I don't know that that's necessarily true. I don't think that the market's going to crash. Now, that could change. There's things that could happen that could shock the system. What I do see is, provided we can get through the pandemic in relatively short amount of time, what's a short amount of time? I don't even know. I have no idea. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, 18 months. 18 months, then we're going to see problems, because for many people, they're not going to be able, if people can't pay their mortgages and there's no forbearance option where they don't have to, the problem with the forbearance in a lot of cases is that the forbearance could be, if it's for 3 months, a typical forbearance says, okay, your 3 months are then due on the 4th month with the 4th month payment. Well, that clearly doesn't help anyone, right? So what does what if the plan is, okay, your 3-month forbearance, those payments go at the end of the mortgage, but you may have to make up for taxes and insurance payments in your escrow account. That makes more sense. That can actually help people. And by the way, they're not hearing anything about a property tax holiday from anybody. So anyway, now on the other hand, conversely, the commercial real estate market could see some big problems there. Okay. And there could be some big issues with the local municipalities and counties who rely on those commercial properties paying their property taxes. There could be some problems with the local municipalities who who are dependent on some of the sales taxes from restaurants, who are dependent on, a portion of the property taxes for schools, for municipal operations. So keep that in mind. There could be some pain. I mean, the city of New York has already, de Blasio has already asked the federal government for $9 billion to bail out the city, because the city's effectively shut down and they're not able to, they're not getting any tax revenue. I believe that the number I heard was they got 1.2 billion from the first round of stimulus, but that's a drop in the bucket for a city like New York. So things to think about. Is there going to be opportunity in the commercial marketplace? I don't like to speculate on that, because who knows? The it depends. It depends on whether or not owners can afford to renegotiate leases with their tenants. What happens to retail? What happens to office space? Will businesses revisit their staffing right now and say that a portion of people can work from their home office? Or, will they cut back? Will they say, well, we got through this. We don't need all these people. Is government going to cut back? What's essential right now with employees? I don't know any of these answers. But they're questions we should all ask. And, time will tell. So, that being said, mortgage rates are down, gas prices are down. Neither of these things imply that we are in solid economic footing right now. Kentucky. Let's talk about Kentucky. Kentucky has joined the Midwest. This one is a little tongue in cheek. There is a group of states who have now joined together. A regional deal. The governor of Minnesota, Honorable Tim Walz, has joined 6 states: Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky. The reason that South Dakota, North Dakota, and Iowa were not included is that they don't have stay-at-home orders, and we are monitoring these states to see what the impact is. And keep in mind, these states have wide, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, wide areas of land where there's really no people. And but we joke that just by moving to some of these areas, you've made the decision to social distance. And I mean that with no malice intended. I know a lot of people from North Dakota, South Dakota, and Iowa, and they are great people. And my sympathies for, no, just kidding. Anyway, so we'll see. So, but Kentucky has joined the Midwestern states. I don't know why it was the Midwest that they joined. If there's a coup to leave the Southeast or East, South, Central, I believe is the area they are technically in. And depending on what map you look at. So Kentucky is now welcome to the Midwest. We hope that you are a worthy addition to the Midwest, and we reckon you best be on your best behavior, or else we're going to throw you out of the pact here. We're going to throw you out of the alliance. Anyway, so Kentucky's in, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Iowa are out. We'll keep you posted on that. Sources say that there's no real bitterness yet, but we know that it's just a matter of time before people become bitter. And we'll keep you posted as that story develops. Other than that, there's a lot happening. I mean, everything changes day to day. Zillow, they stopped their iBuyer program. We reported that here first. The Open Door has cut, I believe, 35% of their staff. I'm not sure what offer pads. These are iBuyers, people who basically give you a cash offer on your house. They're shedding staff and they've shut down their programs. I assume because they're fearful that property values are going to take a hit. And with these companies, Zillow was already losing money on every deal. that they did. I believe it was a few $1,000s a deal. They were exclusively going through only one broker here locally, and they would not deal with any other brokers. And, the way their program worked was if you went through the local broker, from what I've been told, and again, please fact check this, but, Zillow would charge a fee. If you went through there, they would give you a cash offer. You would get a fee. I believe it was around 6%. Again, fact check. And then the local broker would tack their fee on top of that. So you could pay up to 9 or 10% in fees for the iBuyer program run by Zillow. I do know for a fact that Open Door, what they did was their fee was 6%. Open Door, they were here locally as well. They had a local presence. Their fee, they charged 6%, their Open Door buyer fee, and they would give a referral fee of 1% to any local real estate professional who would refer business to them. And how do I know this? Well, I did a video on it. I actually did a podcast of this transaction, which never did actually consummate. What Open Door did was they made an offer, and they generally, it was sight unseen. You can upload photos, information about the property, and we got it under contract, and then they did their inspection of the property. So what they do is they lock up the property, then they do their inspection, and then they give you the real price, or they back out, or they move forward at the price agreed to. I don't know the percentage of times that they move forward with the initial price offering. I would argue that it's not 100%, because the deal I did, they didn't move forward. So they just backed out, and it was a little frustrating to me because it basically tied the property up for a few weeks, and we went to market and actually sold it for more than they were going to offer. So I guess it worked out, but it was not a entirely awful or pleasant experience. It just was. So anyway, so they're laying off people. I believe one of the big investors might've been SoftBank. They've invested heavily into, WeWork. Yeah, that's another model. Airbnb, Airbnb, those reservations have basically dried up. They had to take out a huge round of funding. Airbnb was one of our disruptors that we featured back in the fall. If you look back on the Real Estate World podcast, you can find that. Zillow was one of the disruptors we featured. So we know a lot about these companies. Another company, WeWork, we're wondering what that co-work arrangement's looking like right now. I know SoftBank pulled out or some of their funding for WeWork. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops. I mean, they have a pretty big presence here in the Twin Cities market. Other disruptor plays. It'll be interesting to see what happens as we come out of this again. Whenever that is, I don't know. And I hope it's sooner versus later. I know a lot of other people, business owners, employees, particularly hair salon owners, stylists, restaurant workers. I mean, there's a lot of people right now who are hurting and would love to know when we're coming out of this. But anyway, what will the new normal look like? And I kind of don't like that word. I think it's overused right now, but that's all we got. I'm going to come up with a different one and we'll talk about that. We know that the PPP is out of money. The EIDL, as predicted, was a mythical creature. That was the emergency $10,000 that everyone was so gleefully awaiting, and then it turns out nobody got it. So as far as I know, nobody got it. If you got it, let me know what you did, because I know a lot of people that would love to know what that is, but I believe they kind of rolled it into the PPP program. So other than that, this has been it's been a weird week for me, and it's been a weird couple weeks, but I've decided to focus again, my efforts on positivity, gratitude. Thank you everyone for listening. If I didn't say that enough, I appreciate that. And also, I've got a new real estate application that I've started building conceptually a couple of years ago, and last year really got into it. And this app will allow you to basically look at, inspect, have your appraise and close on a house without ever really having to enter the home, go to a closing, or be in a room with anybody else with using the app. So more information on that is coming. I've spent a lot of time and money getting this thing going, and I'll be having some exciting information that I'll be releasing on that. Yes, this is a little bit of an advertisement for it, but I'm so damn excited I got to share it. So anyway, with that, I want to thank everyone for listening today. I know, again, I've gone long, but that's what I do. And I hope everyone's healthy. Have a great weekend. I may or may not go live over the weekend, depending on how inspired I feel. Or need to get away from my family. That's the peril of doing the show from home. You never know when a 6-year-old's gonna bust in and start screaming at me. So with that, everyone, have a great day, and thanks for tuning in. Boom, I am out of here as long as I can figure out how to shut this down.